All right, we live. We live. I just at the spur of the moment wanted to go live and revamp an old video I made. It was called "They Came from the North" that I made 3 years ago. Called "They Came from the North." What's up, DNA Lo-Fi? Thank you. So just give me a few minutes. Let the beat build for a minute. Hope y'all can hear me good. Let me turn on my tablet. Oops. Make sure I can hear my damn self. I didn't want to play no music today. Okay, there we go. Chief X. All right, all right, all right. Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Okay, we good. T Ben, I'm back on Facebook. The new page I started, they took it away from me, but they gave it back to me. They got this facial recognition, right? So I said, "Oh shit! If I show my face, because they asking me to put my face to the camera and all this other bullshit, they're gonna shut my page down." So my son was here, and I did it with his face. He did. You got to put your face to the phone, and turn left, turn right. So they have this facial recognition on Facebook. They act like they don't, but they do. So if you were shut down on Facebook or your page was suspended or disabled, you know what I mean? It's gonna be hard for you to get another page. I'm not talking about restricted or suspended. I'm talking about when they disable and terminate your shit. It's hard as hell. I tried to do two more profiles. Both of them got shut down. Then I said, let me do another email. Then I had to erase the app off. Then on the app, you have profiles connected to the app. I didn't know. You hit those three dots, and then the profiles you have attached to the app pop up. Delete those motherfuckers. So I'm back home. So I'm under my name. I think my new Facebook page is Xavier Shelton. So if you type in Xavier Shelton, I'll pop up. But I'm just friending people. I just got 100 friends right now. I done lost 5,000 friends and 9,000 followers. I'm still sick, Ben. All right, let's go and get started. So the title says they came from the north because there's a popular claim in the so-called conscious community or so-called what that Afrocentrics make that everybody picked up on and parrots today. That was when Dr. Ben, not T Ben, Dr. Ben Jokanan said they came from the south where God happy dwelled at the foothills of the mountain of the moon. People parroted that shit for decades. That quote is not found anywhere. It's a false quote. But even though it's a false quote, people and still for decades until I shut their ass down, still recently, claimed that the Egyptians came from the south and then formed Egypt. So the claim is, and I've played all these people's claims, every single elder in the community, 100% of them, all the elders, students, the students of students, all claim they came from the South, and what they were talking about is they came from all the way down from sub-Saharan Africa, all the way up to now, all the way through Nubia, and then formed Egypt. They've been touting that Nubians formed Egypt in its first dynasties. They also have claimed Narmer was a Nubian. A Nubian. All of it is 100% bullshit. Okay, so let me share this video real quick. Hold on, y'all. Okay, one second, one second. Okay, so those are the claims by every single Afrocentric on the planet. So 3 years ago, I made a video called "They Came from the North." Oh, people was in an uproar. Chief X, you tripping? You crazy? They came from the South. Oh, cut it out, Chief X. Oh, going crazy. Oh, yeah. My, no, I didn't. I'm gonna go to your page and check it out, Egyptologist. What's up, Thurman Smart? So, why'd I say they came from the North? I mean, how can you have? We find the new genetic studies come out basically saying the Old Kingdom mummy that they have evidence of his genetics has related genetics from the Levant, North Africa, West Asia, and Mesopotamia. I'm not the genetics guy. I'm not the DNA guy. So don't ask me to explain it. I just know what I hear in the geographical area that they're talking about, right? So for 3 years after I made this video, oh, Chief X is tripping. How can you have Mesopotamia DNA from Mesopotamia area, the Levant area, West Asia, and not have came from the North? Like came from the. So what I'm saying is they came from the North, all down into the Delta, all down the Nile River, and people populated the nation state formed called Egypt. After so many people began to populate it who came from all kind of areas, North Africa, West Asia, the Levant, Mesopotamia, or wherever they came down from the north, populated it so much, they formed a nation state in 3100 BC. Now, I could be off. This is just what my common sense says. Right? This is just what my common sense says. If you have Levantine genetics, you came from the Levant down up into the Nile. Like, that's what my common sense says. What does this comment say? What? You know one thing about us Black Americans, we are the divine bloodline. Okay, let me address this. You know one thing about us Black Americans, we are the divine bloodline of the original people. So if they Twa people are the oldest, who would be more ancient? I'm waiting. Video is not about who's the oldest people on earth. Like people get distracted and the truth hurts so much they'll immediately begin to deflect and bring up a whole nother topic. This is crazy right here. I'm not related to no goddamn Twa, and the person typing probably isn't either. So them ain't my goddamn people. I'm not related to no East Africans. Them ain't got my people. Whether they be considered black or not, them ain't got my people. My people is from Western Central Africa. Those are my ancestors. I'm a Kumasian. Up out of Kumasi. Asante gang. Now, black Americans, because he says us black Americans are the divine bloodline of the original people. Original people? What does that mean? Because I hear that all the time in the community. Because they were archaic humans before us. Or those original people you talking about? Probably not. Homo Neanderthals are archaic humans. Homo means human. Homo erectus was archaic humans. Homo means human. They were humans before us, Homo sapiens. Would you say be more bandit? No, I'm with you. The Twa people would have to be in the Twa. Huh? So we are not of the bloodline of the original people. We're a new people. We are a mutant. Everyone on earth right now, living and listening to me, is a mutant. They're a mutation of the original people. You have a term called aboriginal. Aboriginal peoples. The term aboriginal is specifically and only for one group of people. And that is the original Australians. Humans who left up out of Africa, humans, I didn't say black folk, I didn't say white folk, I didn't say humans who left out of Africa, eventually 50,000 years later, or is it 25,000 years? 25 and 50,000 years later, end up making it to Australia, to Tasmania, and became isolated from the rest of the world. They call those people aboriginal people. I believe the AB, before original, means from or away. I could be off. So from original, from the original people, those are the aboriginal people. I believe they are an older people than the Twa. I haven't delved deep into this, but not sure what divine means. I'm not sure if you're saying we're somewhat more special than other humans. I'm not sure if that's what you mean. But the original people came and went, and we're all a mutation of it. Japanese people are a mutation from the original people. Everybody changes and mutates. Okay? All right, so I forgot what. Okay, so they came from the north, right? Now, let me share my screen. Okay. Canaan. Hold on. All right. So I typed this in because I always tell folk Canaan used to be part, a colony or part of the Egyptian Empire, right? As you see, yes, Canaan, which is basically southern Levant, Yes, Canaan was indeed part of the Egyptian Empire for a significant period, particularly during the late Bronze Age. For over 3 centuries, Egypt exerted, excuse me, significant control over Canaan, establishing it as a province and heavily influencing its political landscape and culture, right? So I'm sure they were mixing with each other. They was fucking and some babies came about. Canaan is in southern Levant. Ancient Egyptians have Levantine genetics, right? Here's a more detailed breakdown. Egyptian domination during the late Bronze, the Egyptian Empire expanded into Canaan, establishing a presence that lasted for centuries. Thutmose led military campaigns into Canaan, culminating in a victory, right? Fortress administration. Egypt established fortresses, administrative centers, and agricultural estates throughout Canaan, effectively integrating the region into its empire. Now, for Egyptians to even reach where the Cushites were, or Aswan, or the first, second, and third and fourth cataracts, they had to be traveling down south, traveling from the north, going south. Okay, I'm just giving you some food for thought. Okay, intermingling of cultures, right? Despite political domination, there was also exchange of culture with deities and arts and technology being shared between the two regions, right? Decline of Egyptian power. The Egyptian empire influence on Canaan gradually declined, particularly with the Bronze Age collapse, leading to the rise of other powers and emergence of new entities like the Israelites. Even in the Bible, the Israelites was in Egypt, right? So I just want to give this little bit of a caveat in understanding, right? Canaan is an ancient Semitic speaking civilization and region in what? The southern Levant. Okay? Egyptians have Levantine genetics. Now, this is a video I made 3 years ago that had folk in an uproar. Because when I made this video, it aged very well, mind you. It aged very well because they're telling you now that about this Mesopotamian, Levantine, North African, West Asian DNA that is in the ancient Egyptian and Old Kingdom mummies. Oh, this shit aged very well. I really want to say I told you so. Then eventually I did a video titled Mesopotamian. Hold on. Hold on. And then we're going to get started. Hold on. One second, people. I got this. I just have to show this. Let's do it like this. No wonder I spelled it goddamn wrong. Right here, this video right here. Right. Okay. So pause. So it says Chief X destroys the pseudo killers, Ankh and Sosa on what? Mesopotamian and Mediterranean influence. I was on to something 3 years ago with Mesopotamia. Let me pat myself on the back. Now, some of this stuff I just came to just using fucking common sense. Right? Just some common sense. And I broke down in this video Mesopotamian influence and Mediterranean influence, and I showed everything. If you want to go see it, this is a great video. I made that 2 years ago, right? Now, let's get into this. They came from the north. As you see, I made this a couple years ago. Right? When did I exactly make this video? September 13th, 2022. Almost 3 years ago. They thought I was crazy when I dropped this video that they came from the north. So let's get into it. So I'm playing a video I made just about 3 years ago. Just listen. Let's move on. Now, this is an overhead shot from NASA. As you can see, the delta basically is all up in the Mediterranean Sea. The delta to me is the Mediterranean, beginning at Cairo. Now, Cairo is considered a desert area, but it's right at the tip or the apex of the delta. That shit is all in the Mediterranean. When you get that NASA overhead shot, yep, and you can see all this lit up shit is water, wetlands, all the way down the Nile. So all that marsh and delta, wetlands, that shit is Mediterranean like a motherfucker. It empties into the Mediterranean. Let's continue. There's some other shit I want to read here. Let me see. Let's just move on. Now, this is a shot I like. Ooh, I like this picture. It explains by looking. You have these channels through the delta that people come in and out of, crossing all across the Mediterranean. People in the Mediterranean world for thousands of years been coming in and out and down the Nile through these channels. This is what the fuck I mean by before the unification, they came from the north. Yep. And everything we read and talk about says so. I'm not making this up. So people floating in here through these channels, through all this wetland and marsh in the delta, and ending up going down south into the Nile. Predynastic times, them Caucasoids was all down there. They was all the way down to the third cataract. I'm telling you, that's how far down they went. In expansions and shit. Just like King Tut, Queen T, their biological origins, their DNA, their K. That's West Asia. It's just where these people come from. They come from the north. This is a great picture. I love it. I blew it up a little bit. They coming in and this is a picture of the delta, basically. If you just wanted to get a general idea, they floating all up and down there. This shit is fertile. What the chat talking about? Hold on. All my kinfolk is up in the chat. When you look close, it looks like in the middle, I can't read the writing, but in the middle, it looks like there's a bridge crossing a channel. I'm not sure what the name of it is. Maybe an Egyptian knows. But I just like this fucking picture. Okay. So people like for instance, Mediterranean world floated all up in and out of here. Right? And they can smoothly flow all down the Nile. All the way down the Aswan. Uninterrupted. Listen to what I'm telling you. Uninterrupted all the way down to the first cataract, Aswan, which is still Egypt. Nubia or Sudan don't start to damn near the second cataract. Although they be around Aswan where the first cataract is. They be hanging out. You know what I mean? That's. So Nubians can't flow up and down this motherfucker and never have been able to flow up and down this Nile. they're shut off at their natural border, the first cataract. They've never, through all these years, floated up and down here and let somebody pick their ass up and help them get down up here, unless a Caucasoid picked him up. Other than that, they had to put a boat on the goddamn land and walk through the motherfucking desert. I've shared and proved this already. So if you haven't, if I'm just making it harsh sounding, but it's just the reality. The Mediterranean world was with a trade where it was cracking. Mediterranean world was like Las Vegas, and everywhere else was like West Virginia. This was cracking. The Mediterranean world was cracking. Right at this point by the Delta, this where it all jumped off. Let's continue. Bam. See? This Mediterranean world, they was all up floating around the coast. The sea people, when they wanted to fuck around and disrupt shit, they floated their ass all around here. You know what I mean? Look, the Delta. You know what I mean? They was coming all from Israel, Canaan. Remember Canaan? Canaan was a part of the Egyptian empire. Niggas was floating from Israel, aka Canaan, all down here, all down into the marsh and shit, all into the Delta, all down into the river. Caucasoids been all up and down there. Nubians were cut off. Land of the black folk were cut off. You wasn't floating up and down this now and doing no business and fucking with the Mediterranean world. You wasn't fucking with the Greco-Roman world. Look at Italy and Greece, all deep, all off into the Mediterranean Sea. Sicily, all deep down there, little islands. Crete and Greece right there. They all in the motherfuckers. These motherfuckers taking coast rides and shit, riding and floating. Egyptians snatching gold up from the Nubians and shit, getting that motherfucking gold. They floating that gold right back on up, you know, all the way to the motherfucking Delta, all in the Mediterranean. They all in the Mediterranean showing off and bullshitting with the Greeks and shit, fucking with the Romans and shit. You know what I mean? They all ancient people at this time. Hey, some may have had that beef, so sometimes they might got along. Shit. So they just floating all through this Mediterranean, all along the coast for thousands of years, all to Libya, all to Tunisia, going to Algeria, fucking with Morocco. So these are all an exchange of goods, services, education, ideas, and it's making, and Egypt is the preeminent people on the Mediterranean. Oh, the Mediterranean world is exchanging all kind of ideas, knowledge, and sharing and influencing. This is where it's cracking at. Everybody else is having hard times. The geography is fucked up. Hey, man, this is just what it is. These Levantine, I paused it, right? So I just, because I wanted to add on, like, people think some Greeks and Romans just came to Egypt and conquered Egypt and a bunch of bullshit. Shit don't jump off like that. People have been knowing about each other for thousands of years, hundreds of years. They've been exchanging and doing business and running into each other. And then eventually people develop a plan. Some shit may go awry, people may not get along, or people just decide to, colonize. It's just what humans do. All humans colonize shit, right? And shit jumped off. They didn't just out the blue just pop up in Egypt. They've been fucking with each other in the Mediterranean world for hundreds of years. Okay? Thousands of years. Let's go. Motherfuckers. These Levantine motherfuckers. As we say, the Levantine Sea is in the Mediterranean Sea. You understand that? Look, the Levantine Sea. The Levantine Sea is in the Mediterranean Sea. The Libyan Sea. The Libyan Sea is in the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, goddamn. These motherfuckers is touching lands, high-fiving with Greeks and let me say, Basil Greeks, Basil Romans, Hey, got that word basil. Proto Greeks,
Doctor.
proto Romans, they high Dr. Banu, but I know what he meant. X is a hoot. That's funny because I've been using that word hoot. Oh, he's a hoot. Fiving and shit, going back home and shit, you know what I mean? Then eventually they get to know each other and shit. And then eventually over years fall, they see Egypt getting weaker. Hey, we're gonna take these niggas. We once was high five and now we're gonna take these niggas. They start banging on Egypt, and well, I don't know if they was really banging, but the Eagles of Week, they say, hey, maybe they helped out and lended a hand. Hey, we'll keep this shit, boy. I mean, hey, I don't know. We don't. None of us know. I don't really see no literature where it was at a physical war much. You know what I mean? Niggas just come floating over, taking over. Hey, I got this cover. What's that? And you want me to set up this corporation? Okay, I got this cover. And we start setting up shit, and we just start running shit. That's what the Romans and Greco-Roman world said. We still your homies, Egyptians. But y'all looking bad right now. Hey, we're gonna help you out for a minute. You know? Shit. So this is the Mediterranean world fucking around, going up in the Delta. Understand that. The Mediterranean world fucking around in the Delta. In and out. In and out. In and out. That's why you finding pottery from the Levant. That's why you see Mesopotamian influences all on Narmer's palette. Niggas is coming from Mesopotamia, Sumer, whatever the fuck you want to call it, the Near East, Middle East. Niggas is floating from Turkey and shit. It's a hodgepodge of shit going on in the Mediterranean world. Think it might be a Greek and floated over to motherfucking Turkey, and a Turkey and a Anatolian and a Greek couple then got together and had a baby. Now they got an Anatolian baby mixed with a Greek baby. Then they fucked around and floated to the Levant and made it to Egypt. It's all kind of mixed up shit going on. But I'm just saying the region of the Mediterranean world had it cracking. And they was all kind of mixing and matching. But Egypt eventually got kind of nationalistic. You know what I mean? This is, well, we like you, but we run this shit. Be careful, motherfucker. You know what I mean? Motherfuckers start getting nationalists once they form a nation state form. Oh, once a nation state form, oh, shit changes. Nigga, we ban. Who is y'all? What's happening? What you did? What you want? What? We're a nation now. Egypt was the first nation state. And everything ain't a free for all no more. Hey, I'm sorry. I know we used to be homies, Greco-Romans and Anatolians and whoever else floating around. I mean, but hey, this Egypt gang right now. We done formed and got together. We trying to take over the world. What? I love this little piece of. I don't even know what to call it a map, but I love this illustration right here. Right? It opens your mind to think. So that's why I say when you have a map, you can understand history better because you can have a visual and you can have a mental from listening and reading, and you can have a visual and you can coordinate it all, and you can have a clear vision, a clearer vision. Okay. Nile Delta facts. They talking about wet and dry, moving earth and water, right? Uh, this flow of water and sediment is the reason why ancient Egyptians called the Nile their home. What sediment? Are they talking about in the Delta? Huh. So the Delta was much more fertile and better
Let me
than
fast
going
forward it.
down south where it's more deserty. Let me fast forward a little bit. Okay. They couldn't livestock where the river flowed. As ancient Egypt home, they couldn't live far out in the desert, but could grow crops and livestock through the delta where the river flowed. As ancient Egypt grew larger and richer, why they grow larger and richer? Because they was fucking around with the Mediterranean world and doing all this business and trade. They could build bigger and bigger pyramids. Where the pyramids? Closer to the Mediterranean and right in the delta. You niggas know Cairo is the apex of the delta. You know what them pyramids is. You know where the Sphinx is located in northern Egypt. Because that flow of water and sediment is the reason why ancient Egyptians called the Nile their home. They couldn't live far out in the desert, but could grow crops and livestock through the delta where the river flowed. As ancient Egyptians grew larger and richer, they could build bigger and bigger pyramids because they always had enough what? Food and water. What's more, the delta was a good place for trade. Chief X ain't lied to you. I'm telling you, Mediterranean world was fucking with the delta, in and out, in and out. What's more, it says the delta was a good place for trade because they can send goods up the river or bring ships in from across the entire Mediterranean Sea. Shut your mouth. What'd you say, Chief X? Prove your shit, Chief X. Okay, check this out. What's more, the delta was a good place for trade. Because what? Because they can send goods up the river or bring ships from across what? The entire Mediterranean Sea. Niggas was floating around the Mediterranean Sea into the delta. I don't mean niggas. I'm just, you know what? I didn't have a formal education. You got to excuse me. I just use the word nigga. I might be talking about Arabs when I say nigga. I mean, I'm talking about these Caucasoids. I'm calling them the niggas and Caucasoids. Let me get my shit together. I'm gonna stop saying nigga. I swear I am. Pray for me. Jesus ain't done with me yet. Okay. So the Mediterranean world was floating along the coast and along, around, in, and out of the delta. Like, who would drive along the coast and see this fucking opening right here and not go down it? I mean, niggas is just exploring and curious. Niggas could be in way in the corner, right over here in the corner, the left corner. If y'all can see my arrow, let me see if you can see. Yeah, right here in the corner. All from the Levant and hit this corner and be like, damn, it's an opening down there. Let me float this motherfucker down here. And he just float all the way down here. And he end up on, and eventually people end up goddamn way on a third cataract. They came from the north. You understand me? Look at this. You float up and down this this is the fucking delta we looking at. Motherfucker just float up down here and just keep on going. Keep on going. Keep on going. So you had the Greco-Roman world at a time, they just come up in these straits, floating up and down them in the delta, end up going down the Nile River. All them ancient Greek and Roman writers and explorers and shit, eventually they don't see nothing but these Caucasoids, right? And they float down. They don't see no black folk, except if they just got some people doing some labor or work. Or they don't see much black folk. Then they get way, way, way down there in the second and third cataract and say, hey, that's the land of the blacks. That's Ethiopia. That's Sudan. We're gonna float on back up here. It's hot down there. If they got some gold, we'll get it. But other than that, Nubians ain't doing that much of it influencing. Now, the reason why people think more of Nubia's influence than Mediterranean influence is because they're Afrocentrics and they grew up in this Afrocentric community, in this conscious community. So they just flooded with Nubian and Egyptian relations. The conscious community people, for lack of a better word, or the Afrocentric community, their minds has been flooded with teachers who only teach about Nubian Egyptian relations and things. They never knew to teach or didn't know about or didn't care about teaching Mesopotamian and Egyptian relations or Mediterranean regions in Egyptian relations. Everybody is so stuck on Nubian Egyptian relations that they forget about that the Egyptians fucked with the Mediterranean world at least 80% more than they did the sub-Saharan world. They had more. I'm just throwing an arbitrary percentage out there. I have no clue what the real percentage is, but we do know that they've done way more business in the Mediterranean than in with Nubians. What they was getting from Nubians was luxury goods, not necessary things, but just luxury goods like gold and shit, animal skins and shit. You know what I mean? More to gain fucking with the Mediterranean world than fucking with the Nubians, who weren't even writing or building. They came from the north, it says on the title. I'm trying to tell you where they came from pre-dynastic times before they formed the nation state. So just so for instance, say you may have 300,000 people up and down the Nile in sporadic areas, spaced out and shit, little camps and families and shit. But eventually you get to have 1 million people up along the Nile River banks. And then it gets populated with, hell, we're forming a nation state. Narmer get together and unify his people with northern Egypt, but they're the same fucking people, but they just get together and unify. Then shortly after unifying, these first, second, and third dynasties do a fucking U-turn and lead military expeditions down past the first cataracts and start banging on the Nubians. And then they start setting up trade through military force. Okay, we here and we run this shit, the Egyptians is saying. Nubians, listen up, Nubians. We run this shit, okay? And we're going to have some fucking peace here. And you're going to help us get some of this gold. We're going to trade some of this gold. We're going to give you some good shit. Don't trip. We got some grains and shit for you. Don't trip. But let's run that gold. We need that shit. And they set up trade post, as I read earlier. If you're late, you missed it. But I've said it in many other lectures. Okay? If you're late, James Powell, rewind this. You don't have to watch it while it's live. By your comment, I can tell you were late and you missed the first half of this thing. So what I'm saying now is confusing. Never start a book in the middle of the book. Always start reading the book from the beginning so you can know what's happening, so you can be totally informed. You don't want to be halfway informed. You don't want to half learn. You want to get it all. Rewind this to the beginning, because the way Chief X lectures, this is why I always tell people this. I present different than people. I always have a lead up. I'm leading up to something. I keep telling you this. I'm doing things in an order so you can understand. If you don't follow the order, you may be confused in the middle. Just trust me on this. Okay? Chevron said they came from the south. Okay? So they're coming in right here from this beautiful delta, right? So the Mediterranean world. So they tell you here they bring in ships from across the entire Mediterranean Sea. It's okay, people. Now, guess what also is in the delta? Plentiful. Hey, they say all these papyrus, the papyrus of this, the papyrus of that, the papyrus. Well, God damn it. Well, where are they getting all this writing and papyrus from? Let's go talk about it. I did this in a lecture before, but it didn't really click and catch. People didn't catch it, right? So before I got to this point, I was leading up and telling you about where it's more fertile in the delta, in the marshland, right? Needing shallow fresh water, it says, or water saturated earth to grow. Dense papyrus thickets were found in the marshes of what? The Nile Delta. And also in the low-lying areas of fringing the Nile Valley. Now, we went over what the Nile Valley means earlier. For those of you who are late, let's just do it real quick again. The Nile Valley is known as Upper Egypt, while the Nile Delta region is known as Lower Egypt. Neither of those two have anything to do with Nubia or Sudan. The Nile Valley is a stretch approximately from the first cataract to Cairo, which is the apex of the delta, the tip of the delta. So, the Nile Delta is the wetlands and the marshlands. The Nile Valley is strictly Egypt up until Aswan or the first cataract. Okay? It was another one I wanted to further clarify that with, but I don't have time to search for it. Y'all gonna make me get off track. Okay, so papyrus, that's where we at, right? The Nile Delta and low-flying areas of it, this is where papyrus is growing plentifully. From a horizontal root, the slender but sturdy stalk topped by feathered umbels. Okay. The pharaonic word for papyrus was, I can't pronounce that. Right? A hieroglyph form, excuse me. Okay. It's
This will be over in 10 minutes.
Tajufi, with mehet used as a more general term for marsh plants, the delta, the wetland, and the marsh. Okay, a hieroglyph in the form of papyrus plant was used in the writing of the word watch, meaning fresh, flourishing, green. We teaching. An amulet in this shape was worn at the throat for protection and health. Due to its what? Prevalence in the Nile Delta, the papyrus was the heraldic plant of lower northern Egypt. Okay? Not southern. While the lily or the lotus stood for southern Egypt. So, beginning of this, I remember I said papyrus is more related to northern Egypt. The lotus is more related to southern Egypt, although it interchanges. But I'm just trying to give you a base understanding because I'm leading up to something. When shown the wound around the hieroglyph for unite, these two plants form the emblem for the unification of the two lands. Follow this. The goddess Wajet depicted as a ringed cobra or a woman with the head of Elias. Okay. Um, in ancient Egypt cosmology, the world was created when its first god stood on the mound that emerged from limitless and differentiated darkness and water, right? They're talking about the papyrus marshes, where thus seen is basically talking about a fertile region, right, that contained the germ of creation. Fertility, the germ of creation, right? Now, they're talking about papyrus thickets, and the papyrus is why I have I don't know if you guys seen the thumbnail. The thumbnail is of a cow, Hathor, and she's hiding in the thickets. in the papyrus, amongst the papyrus, in the marsh. Okay? A lot of early Egyptian gods have a creation story related to northern Egypt in the marsh. This is pre-dynastic, before Egypt became a nation state. So understand when I'm talking, you got to understand when I'm talking pre-dynastic and when I'm talking about during the nation state formation. Okay? So, um, to double down on that, let's go here. Oops.
6 more minutes and we'll be finished.
Oops. Right here. These are stories about what? Let me blow it up so people can see. Bam. Marshes in ancient Egyptian art, right? Let me make this smaller. In just a little brief reading tonight, I stumbled across some interesting information which has caused me to think more deeply about the reason why marsh scenes sometimes appear in Egyptian tomb imagery. To be honest, when I previously have just considered these types of scenes, the most famous one being the fowling scene from the tomb of Nabum, shown below, I have usually thought more about the act of hunting than the marsh setting itself. Perhaps I've taken marshes for granted in Egyptian culture, since I know that they are located along the Nile, right? However, the marsh setting has a lot of symbolic associations in ancient Egyptian culture and mythology, most notably with life and resurrection, right? Not with death in desert, but with fertility, life, and resurrection up north. There are several reasons why that it didn't say this. I'm adding on just for conversation. Okay. There are several reasons why marshes are connected with life and resurrection in ancient Egyptian culture. In the creation myth, for the ancient Egyptian, life was first formed of the primeval waters of chaos, none, creating a primeval marsh and mound of fertile earth, delta. The latter sometimes referred to as the Benben, due to the Benben stone at Heliopolis, which represents this primeval mound, right? Marshes, therefore, were reference to a creation in life in the case of the two images that I have included in this post, the tomb owners, such and such and such and such and such. Okay. Well, they're talking about a tomb that depicted themselves within a marsh. Okay. Additionally, marshes were also significant in Egypt mythology because Isis helped prepared her husband Osiris' body for resurrection by hiding his coffin in a marsh. Later, Osiris' evil brother Seth stumbled upon the casket and tore Osiris' corpse into various pieces. The number of pieces vary in accounts ranging from 14 to 42. Isis searched for each of the pieces and buried each at the place where it was found, right?
3 more minutes, y'all. We done.
Later, Osiris resurrects. The dismembered body becomes together to form the first mummy, okay? So there are many other elements within marshes that have been symbolically associated with life and resurrection, most notably the papyrus and the lotus plants, right? In both these images, they're talking about the image. Let me skip forward. Okay, this is what I want to get to too. The thicket of papyrus also might be a reference to the mother goddess Hathor, who sometimes appeared as a cow in similar thickets of papyrus, right? Let me show you a picture. It's this picture of Hathor on the right, peeping out all up in the marsh, right? Um, so I'm saying all this to say I'm giving the importance of the marsh. I'm giving you the importance of northern Egypt in the beginnings. I'm giving you a understanding of where it was more fertile, right? Where people gathered more. The majority of Egyptian population is either on the Mediterranean in big cities like, or majority of Egyptian population is either on the Mediterranean in big cities like Alexandria or Cairo, which is right at the apex of the marsh or apex of the delta. Pause. I could be wrong on that. It was kind of something off the head, so don't, I made this 3 years ago, right? They live in northern Egypt because it's more plentiful there, right? If they wanted to get to the Mediterranean, it's there. This is all trade, business, and this is where they're closer to. Okay, the lotus has okay. Moving forward, so all this has been food for thought. I'm not making any claims. I'm showing you why I came with the claim of they came from the north first, populated the Nile. It began to get so populated that eventually first King Narmer, they began to unify the two, Upper and Lower Egypt. None of this has anything to do with the Kushite kingdom or the Nubians. Okay, these are Caucasoids. Y'all don't like to use the phrase uniting with Caucasoids. Because Caucasoids doing business with other Caucasoids in the Mediterranean, in the marsh, in the delta, right? This is not African Americans' affairs. This is not sub-Saharan Africans' affairs. The part you played in it was running that gold and ivory and skins in them luxury goods, not necessities, luxury goods to them Caucasoids, and they ran that shit to the Mediterranean world. We've laid all this out right here. If you've seen the beginning, this is just the reality. Chief, it's no one that can disprove any point I made, although I'm not even making a claim. I'm just throwing food for thought. But it's great food for thought, and I backed it with sources. This was just like a what's happening, Chad? What's happening, Brandon? APEP, Sundiata, J. Lee, Yaku is in the motherfucking house. Dr. Banoob is always in the house. Egyptologist 7. JJ Bentley. All right. That was it. Chief X, the God best reincarnated. Look here. We got 28 in the clip. And I just wanted to share. They came from the north. Let's keep that shit real. Mesopotamian, West Asian, Levantine DNA. They came from the motherfucking north. You niggas had it backwards. I'm sorry. We got miseducated. We got led astray. It is what it is. We live and we learn. Right? So ain't no goddamn body came from the goddamn south. No Nubians formed Egypt. Narmer wasn't a Nubian. It was all a, what's that song? It was all a dream. We used to read Word Up magazines. Said Vicky. It was all a dream. It was all a dream, family. It was misinformation, disinformation, all the fucking above. I'm out of here.